Hello, and welcome to Keeper's Corner Podcast, where we're breaking down anything and everything Utica City FC related. With your hosts, as always, Matthew Sterling, Michelle Brooks, and Brandon Brooks. Let's go.
Hello, welcome to another edition of the Keeper's Corner Podcast. I'm Matt, as always, joined by Brandon.
Yo. How's it going?
We are here to recap a sweep over the weekend of the Harrisburg Heat, with Utica taking the game on the road Saturday and then at home on Sunday.
I was so close. So close to greatness.
I know, you pulled the little Maxwell Smart and you missed it by that much.
We'll get to that, though.
Yes. So, on Saturday, Utica traveled down to Harrisburg, where they played a tight game that finished 4-3 in favor of Utica. Gordy Gerson came through with the game-winning goal in the fourth quarter. We saw some more of those blue card issues that we talked about last week.
Yeah. It was a lot of calls for a lot of the same things. And you know, a certain someone needs to calm down, Carrera. Need to take it easy.
Yeah, the rookie's challenging a bit too hard once in a while, but
Love the enthusiasm, though.
yes,
But
it's good to see a scrappy defender.
Keep it legal.
But 4-3 game. Let's go with your stat that caught your eye for this one.
Oh, stat that caught my eye. Well, I would have to say that, honestly, Coughlin's save percentage was what caught my eye. The fact that this man blocked 83% of shots taken against him. Of course, he only allowed 3, which obviously. But I mean, that's a much higher save percentage than we saw for 90% of last year. Also, excuse my voice. I'm going to sound like a, teenage boy that's just going through puberty at the moment.
Still not recovered from Sunday?
A little bit of that and a little bit of, just jamming out on the way home.
Yeah.
And just listening to music. But yeah, a lot of it had to do with Sunday, considering I lost my voice in the first quarter and I still kept going.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, I mean, this man had 18 shots against him total and only 3 went in. That is better than anything we've seen from him. And I'm just going to say this as a whole for the weekend. We saw legacy Mr. Stretch this past weekend, I feel. Not last year's Mr. Stretch. We saw true to form Mr. Stretch. Of course, Mr. Stretch is Andrew Coughlin, obviously.
Yes, this was a vintage Coughlin performance.
Yes.
Hands down, one of the best we've seen.
I mean, this man was diving for shots. He was stretching over the side, stretching from one corner to the other, basically.
That huge save in the last 30 seconds.
Oh, yes. Oh, just so many good saves. And not just, again, I'm spanning over the weekend. I'm just saying it overall right now. Mm-hmm. Vintage Mr. Stretch. Absolutely amazing performance from him all weekend.
So, here's my stat. I guess it's kind of a two-parter.
Gimme.
Harrisburg outshot Utica 27-16. Sounds bad, but like you said, Coughlin saved 15 out of 18, which means the defense, something that we thought going into this season might show some weakness, just a lot of turnover there.
Yep.
9 blocked shots in the game. That's a good day by any team.
Yeah, and I mean, 4 of them coming from 2 of our veterans, Joey and Logan, and 2 of them coming from Carrera, which we just talked about as being a little rough and tumble. And then the rest just kind of being filled in by, three other players. What is it? Hundalt, Ronaldinho, and Quentin. So, I mean, overall, just a great team effort. Not just, again, not one single person is going to, carry a team. It doesn't matter how good they are. So, to see a good spread like that just shows that there was a great team effort across the board.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and you look at it, and we go to that last minute of the game again. Logan with the huge diving block with about 40 seconds left took away the game-tying goal. Then Coughlin makes that huge save about 10 seconds later. Last year, we were conceding goals like crazy against six attacker.
Yep. Remember that when we talk about tomorrow's game or Sunday's game. Remember that diving goal or that diving save in Coughlin.
Yeah.
Because history somehow repeats itself.
Mm-hmm. Much lower scoring than we thought this game was going to be.
Yeah. About half. It was like, I think I said like 8-6 or something, and it was about half. It was literally half if that was the case. I don't even remember what it was. 8-5.
8-5, something like that. One of us was...
Yeah. So, yeah, basically half of what we expected. It was a very defensive affair, which, again, surprises me considering.
But kudos to Utica for killing 3 penalties in that.
I don't know why I nodded like people could see me. I'm just going to nod my head. They're just going to hear the rocks.
I mean, I could put the audio or the video stuff out at some point if there's enough demand for it. I know it's not the Tim Goldman episode that saw like 100-something views in a couple days, but
it was just Timmy watching it on loop. It's okay.
Timmy go, look, I'm on YouTube. Look, I got interviewed.
Listen, if you want to go see quality Tim Goldman content, go watch the Tim Wow. All right, go watch that commercial.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, we had one power play that we didn't capitalize on, but the fact that we were able to stop 3 of them, I mean, I'll take that. I'll take beating 3 over scoring on 1. I will take that all day.
Your play that changed this game.
Oh, I was kind of trying to think about this because things were still looking pretty bleak going into the third. Considering that they scored literally with like 11 seconds left in the third. So I was on pins and needles going into the last quarter. I was nervous. Honestly, I think where things changed it for me was not so much a play, but the last time we killed a penalty. We had the 1 blue card on Carrera in the 4th. And
that penalty kill in the 4th quarter.
The penalty kill in the 4th quarter. Killing that final penalty, keeping us up 4-3, because Gerson scored very early in the 4th. Keeping us up, above water, I think was really what kind of gave that one little tiny ray of hope that we weren't going to go into overtime.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, it played out from there. Like that was basically it. I mean, there was a big, obviously they had, their last ditch, as you mentioned, 6 attacker towards the end. But I think that's where it kind of was like, okay, we're on the upswing here.
Mm. For me, I mean, we had those huge plays in the final, but they didn't really change the way things were going.
Yeah.
It's, I'm going back early 3rd quarter, I believe. About 3 minutes in. 2 rookies. Nilton de Andrade hooks up with Steven Fernandez. Fernandez gets his first MASL goal, ties the game at 2. Huge, because Utica had gone into the half losing and came out and within the first 5 minutes knotted it back up.
Yeah.
You could start to feel the momentum change at that point.
Well, even just us scoring in the third is a shocker, considering it's the third quarter. It's the cursed third quarter, where we always tend to have problems.
Yeah, we actually won this one.
We tied that one.
No, we won the third 2-1. We tied on Sunday.
You're right. Yeah, you're right. Yep. I forgot we scored twice in the third quarter. I for some reason thought we only scored once, but no, you're right. Yeah, we were down 2.
Gave us the lead on a nice little left foot from the right side of the field.
Yeah. Mighty Mouse. Love to see it.
That was a 4-3 win. It got Utica to 1-1 on the season. And then, less than 24 hours later, we're turning our attention to the Adirondack Bank Center. The Heat, it's their turn to come to our town. And Utica did not give them a warm welcome.
No, not particular. Well, okay. Before the game, we gave him a warm welcome. Yeah. Most of, Hoxie coming back since we hadn't seen him since he was wearing the black and blue or the blue and white or whatever you want to call it.
I was gonna say, in a game that never really felt close. I mean, yes, Harrisburg got it within 2 at the half, but it never felt close.
I mean, don't get me wrong. When it got within 2, I was starting to get nervous when they started kind of firing back. I was a little bit concerned, but not like overly concerned. They got the 2 in the second quarter, and that's when it's like, okay, they're starting to fire back.
They were both late. It was kind of like, okay, Utica's on their heels.
Yeah,
but then we had the half.
But then we had the half to refocus.
Yes,
and didn't allow. We allowed 1 for the rest of the game.
Mm-hmm. Was a wonderful, wonderful game. Utica won 9-5. First time we outshoot an opponent on the season, 32-27. Coughlin, 5 goals allowed, but he had a .643 save percentage.
Although you say it was a wonderful game, but boy, you were at ends with a certain referee.
Was I?
Or you were not happy with Mr. Sigich.
I think they were a little slow to pull some cards, which is why we started to see them flying in the fourth. We had 4 cards in the fourth quarter.
Listen, y'all don't sit 1 seat away from this man. He was not happy. He was not happy with it, with some of those calls. Okay, now I can't say I blame you. Because some of them were very questionable, and then we had some of what we felt like makeup calls later on. But
we had 5 cards in 11 minutes in the game.
Yeah.
In the other 49 minutes, there were no cards.
Yeah, nothing. And it was
completely trying to get things back under control.
Yeah, it was a very rough and tumble game. Like, I mean, getting reckless tackle called 3 times on one team. That's weird. And of course, I know, the Harrisburg bench was getting talked to a few times. Got a yellow card. Who was it? Who else got a yellow card?
Ty Hall at the end.
Ty Hall, yes. Yeah. Mm. Well, that's because, I'm sorry, but when the ref's trying to get the ball from you and you hold it behind your back, number one, have all the respect in the world for Ty Hall. That's a little childish. Mm-hmm. In the moment, I get it. You're frustrated, you're pissed off, but come on, you're gonna get a card for that. In that moment, you're gonna get a card for that. So, like, just suck it up. You might not like the call that they're making, but just work with the ref, because otherwise you're just gonna get yanked, and that's what happened. You got 5 minutes for dissent. Just my opinion.
Oh yeah. Well, let me see. I want to see something that I saw in a group, and yeah, that is unfortunately true. We'll talk about it later. Yeah, we'll get to it in a bit. But before we get to that stuff, Utica has a lot of positives to take out of this game. I mean, a lot. They cut down on the blue card issues. You had Isak with the holding, which was kind of ticky-tack, especially since in the first quarter we watched him just pick up and suplex a guy in the corner, and it was a common foul.
It was pretty entertaining watching
like, that's a blue
WWE
card.
start to unfold in I almost said in the ring on the turf. It was interesting watching a WWE pay-per-view, but that's not supposed to happen.
Yeah. But for this one, it feels like we got to have a player of the game. I'll let you take the obvious one if you want.
I mean, I'm pretty sure it's the same one that you are thinking.
I'll go a different route, but yeah, it's going to be hard to argue with this one.
Well, who else am I going to pick except for Tim? And that's not just because I like Timmy a lot. Like we've been with Timmy since day one. But the man had a great night. And honestly, it wasn't just on offense. Yes, he got a hat trick. But I was going to wait until...
He didn't just get a hat trick. He got a hat trick on 4 shots.
Yeah. But I was also going to say, like, he had a pretty decent game on defense, too. I mean, I was going to save this for my play that changed the game, but I'm just going to say it now, and then you can have your own later.
Okay.
Remember that exchange night before? Logan saving a shot, Coughlin saving it, back and forth. Yeah. Same thing happened with Coughlin blocking a shot from, the name escapes me. It was Harris. No, it wasn't Harris. It was Dominic Francis. Blocks a shot in the 4th from Dominic Francis. It's like 7.5 minutes in. Coughlin blocks a shot, comes back to him, or bounces back to him. He goes up for another one. Timmy dives in front of it, blocks another shot. And then they finally are able to clear it. Like, almost exact, very, very similar exchange of events that happened in the same time. And that right there, that was easily my play that changed the game, because not only did it get us fired up, it got the team fired up even more than they already were, considering they were already up. Yeah, I didn't even remember the score at that. Or no, the score was 7-4 at that time. So it could have been 7-5 right then and there. It could have been within 2 again, and it wasn't because of that. That was easily my why I think that he had an amazing night, both offensive, because he got a hat trick within, like you said, 4 shots, and all in the first half on his first game of this season. It took him a while to do that last season, if I remember correctly. It was against Harrisburg also, but I mean, the guy had a great night.
It was the man's first career hat trick in a single half, which is very impressive for anyone to do. And it was also his second career hat trick, both against Harrisburg.
Yeah, the
man knows how to beat the heat.
I was gonna say, he knows how to. Yeah, that's. You know what? That's too good. How am I supposed to follow that up? That's just that. What am I supposed to do with that? That's just good.
You turn down the thermostat.
I'm leaving. Oh wait, I can't leave yet. Dogs. There we go. Yep. I can leave now. Bye.
Okay, so for me, player of the game. I mean, yeah, Timmy's easy choice. I'm going Nate Bordeaux. He had the open net dagger at the end to seal it. He assisted twice, one of which was Timmy's first goal of the game on that fast break. Nate's going down the right side, plays it off the boards behind the defender to himself, which was just beautiful to watch. Oh, perfect use of angles. Finds Timmy right in the middle of the net. Boom, 2-0 Utica. Gets another assist later. This time he connects with... Hold on, I gotta let my internet load.
Don't have it up already? Come on.
I did, but I had it on the stats page, not the summary.
What, you don't have
Joey in the fourth quarter. He connects with Joey on the set piece.
Yep. Oh, that like back heel goal of Joey's towards the end. It looked like. Yeah, that redirect was.
He just put the brakes on, got the defender to dive behind him, and boom, there we go.
So good.
And Nate has low-key been one of the best points players in the league this year. He's already got 5 points, 1 goal, 4 assists. What's the one thing I clamored for Utica to needed going into this season? Especially at the end of last year.
Yep.
We needed someone that could create shots. Nate's got 4 assists in 3 games. He had 8 all of last year. Previous 2 years in Utica, he had 13 each year.
Say that again?
So in 2018-19 and 19-20, Nate had 13 assists each year.
Mm-hmm.
Then last season, when no one was creating and getting open and the offense just looked sloppy and lost for half the season, he only had 8 assists.
Oh, yeah. So,
yeah.
Already on track for
yes,
a lot more. Way more.
Mm-hmm.
Way more.
Way more. But that's huge if we have someone in the middle that can distribute to these open guys, since our offense is so much faster this year. Just so much faster.
In general, they just feel faster.
Yeah.
You know, their offense. Sorry.
I was going to say maybe it's just better being in shape. Maybe it's all the young guys on the team.
All I know is that people are able to get back.
Yeah.
And that was something we needed desperately is, you know, yes, we can advance. We can get forward. We can get up there and get hungry and go for the goals. But when you lose that ball, you better be hustling to get back. And yes, we saw some hustle in previous years, but I feel like this year they're really pushing. Which, again, like you said, could just be, you know, could be a fitness thing. Could be, you know, they're in better shape than they have been.
Yeah, it was nice just to watch that speed in person instead of just on the TV, because, it's so nice just to, yeah. If you can beat the defense down there, it's a lot easier getting goals.
Mm-hmm.
I guess let's throw an honorable mention to our rookies over the weekend. De Andrade and Fernandez both had 2 goals and assists across the 2 games. And De Andrade's unassisted fast break goal, it made it into the goals of the week.
I'm not surprised at all.
I'm surprised Timmy's diving header, that was a better version of his first career goal, didn't make it. Oh, the Wallace scorer. I wanted to do a breakdown of that goal, because you watch him play it into the corner and then drop back into the middle away from all the other defenders, just get wide open.
Yep. No, it was... He had some good... He was in the right spots at the right times.
That was a clinic on how to move off the ball on that play.
Yes. But, to be fair, I think Timmy just likes to dive for the ball.
Yeah.
Because, you know, we talked about this after the game at 72, you know, him diving for that one ball, and all of a sudden Sigic turns around and see he's on the ground and then calls a penalty. It's like, no, he dove for that. That was all Timmy. Like, that wasn't really a penalty. Cool. But no, that wasn't a penalty. Yeah. That was Timmy being Timmy and being like, ball.
The only thing Timmy loves more than scoring goals is scoring goals on diving headers.
Yes. He loves diving for the ball. It's that headband. It's magnetized to the ball.
Like I said, there are a ton of positives to take out of this game. But after any game, there's always room for improvement. Mm-hmm. What do you think Utica needs to improve on going into this game this weekend against Florida?
I'm going to say this is going to apply to the whole past weekend. Something I observed. We can get sloppy. Our passes specifically can be very sloppy, can be very off target. Sometimes they're too far ahead. Sometimes they're too far back. Other times the person that we're passing to has no clue that we're going to be passing to them. And that leads to takeaways, and takeaways lead to goals. Now, Harrisburg may not be a top tier team that can typically capitalize on stuff like that. Florida is going to rip that apart if you give up goals, if you give up the ball like that. They are going to tear you apart. So definitely need to clean up the passing and the passing communication. That's a big one to me.
Yeah, it was... I'll go a little bit more specific, not just passes. Passing it across the goal face in your defensive third.
Sorry. Shivers down my spine because, oh God, that's always terrifying. I was always taught when I was in, sorry, not to hijack, when I did soccer back in middle school.
Oh, like they say in soccer, let's do that soccer.
Never pass in front of the goal. But a little bit different in indoor. I get that. But we were always taught never pass in front of the goal. So every time I see that, just makes my
there were some bad passes. I mean, yes, they were diagonal, meant to switch the field, or switch sides of the field, I should say, not like just clear it down to the other side.
Right.
But they were on the turf, a little slow, and showed less than perfect field vision, because more than one occasion there was a Harrisburg guy backpedaling to get into defensive position who was able to take a couple steps and just either defend the pass really easily or take the ball. And then we had I think a top of the arc because of it, or a foul just outside the arc.
I think it was, if I remember, I don't remember exactly. It could have been either or. For some reason, my mind is saying that it was just outside and not a top of the arc, because we didn't see many top of the arc. We saw a lot of around the outside, but not necessarily top of the arc.
Mm-hmm. And it was, it's not just us talking about it. Did you go back and watch the game on Twitch and listen to the play-by-play?
I kind of watched. I went back and I watched some of the, highlights. Like I kind of went through, but I didn't go through it with like a fine-tooth comb, if you will.
Well, Bigsy's got a new color commentary guy helping him out.
Yep.
So that person, for those who maybe didn't catch his name, is Andres Jaime Mendez. He is a freshman from Solana Beach, California, who plays for Utica University's soccer team and has been to many, many soccer games in San Diego.
Mm-hmm.
So he's familiar with the indoor game. And you could hear him talking about just those bad, I don't want to say lazy, but lackadaisical passes.
There you go.
In the defensive third.
I was going to say, like, less than enthusiastic.
Yeah. It was nice to have another voice on there besides Bigsy. Not saying he doesn't do a great job.
We love Bigsy.
But having a guy in there that knows the game can be fantastic. And it also gets him some experience.
Yep, absolutely.
Great addition to the broadcast. I will say, I forget after whose goal it was, but he kind of did his own little thing. And I could hear a lot of Craig Elston in the way he was, in the cadence of his voice and just the way certain words were emphasized. And then I couldn't unhear it for the rest of the broadcast.
No, it was...
Golazo!
I went back and... Well, actually, no, I shouldn't say I went back. I did go back and watch a little bit, but I also watched the highlights that, of course, get published to YouTube. And there were a couple of moments when you heard him in the broadcast as well, and so you got some Bigsy, you got some of him. It was very enjoyable having that second voice. I agree.
Mm-hmm.
So welcome addition.
All right, now we turn our attention to this weekend and the opponent in the next two games. We have Florida, familiar foe. We travel to Lakeland to play them at the RP Funding Center. And a lot of familiar faces there. Some are a couple new additions. Some have been there.
We know they're lacking at least one.
Yes. So, due to visa issues, Ricardo Diegues and Reiner House have both been released and are playing in M2 until things can get cleared up. I don't know how long that suspension's for. I think it might be over. For Anthony Adrico. He was suspended. I think that's it. Sir, to be served on game 2. No, he will be serving at this game. So they will not have Anthony Adrico. But they're still a very dangerous team.
Oh yeah, no, you can't write them off at all.
We know what Ruggles can do out of the back. Victor Pereiras, just lethal offensively. Ricardo Carvalho, Zach Reggett, Vic Moraligwe, who doesn't have a point yet. It looks like he didn't play the first game, but we know how dangerous he was in Mesquite a couple years back. Again, just another loaded team they put together trying to get that elusive Ron Newman Cup. And Utica did not fare too well against them last year.
For some reason, I thought they played already this season. Am I just blind?
Yeah, Florida beat Baltimore.
Okay. It's when
that was their only game. What?
What night did they play Baltimore? There's a reason I ask.
Florida played on Saturday.
Not on the MASL website. If you look on the little banner at the top, it's not there. That's why I was very confused. I'm like,
it looks like it gets cut off at the game that started after them.
So yeah, I was very confused why I was not seeing them, because I was trying to see basically what I wanted to know was what roster they had for that specific game.
Florida won 7-6 in Baltimore.
Because I was trying to see if this listing was accurate for their roster, because I know that sometimes they don't update them.
Can't forget they added Vinny Dantas.
They still have Lucio.
Lucio back from that Achilles injury last year.
Yes, which is, he was great for Utica for making opportunities, and he can and will do the same thing for them. And I'm sure he already probably has. Maybe not this year, but looks like he hasn't really done. He basically had 2 fouls and a SOG so far this year. But he can make a lot of things happen if he's given the opportunity to do so. So that's another one that's a little scary sometimes. I saw that they also have Perella as well.
Yes, Perella's supposed to be their...
Go ahead.
I believe he was signed to be their backup behind Navarrete.
Yeah, that's what I was seeing too, is that he's, right now, at least backup to the backup, because it was Navarrete and Frederick on the roster for Saturday.
Yeah, not sure why he wasn't there, but hey, Frederick, the guy that they signed before last season with all the hoopla for being some big Instagram influencer, finally got to play a game. Well, sit on the bench for a game.
So yeah, they're definitely a very dangerous squad. Ruggles is always dangerous, always a weapon to not underestimate. He got a hat trick against the Blast. Carvalho almost had one. Got 2 points against him. It was they're a very tough squad to go against. Mm-hmm. And they will continue to be a tough squad to go against, no matter what year it is. Typically, as long as they have at least some semblance of what they have currently, they're always going to be a tough to go against. So Utica's definitely going to need to be on their A game for sure.
Yeah, last year in 4 games, Utica was lost 3 of the 4. We did win the final one at home 5-4. But over those 4 games, we were outscored 27-11. Now, to be fair, the first 3 of those games were within the first 6 games of the year when Utica looked awful to begin the season. Before the turnaround. Mm-hmm. But that one win did come at home. On the road, we got killed 10-3 and 6-2.
Yeah, our home opener was not a happy time last year, losing 7-1 against Florida.
Flop City.
Which I still think gave the guys a complex that they just couldn't be rough anymore.
Yeah.
Because they felt like they were kind of walking on pins and needles for the next few games. But they still beat Harrisburg. Mm-hmm. But yeah, they decimated us every time we got into a game with them. But so did Baltimore. And that didn't happen this year.
No.
So it could be a very different game. It could be a very, I would honestly be fine seeing it a very close game, regardless of which way it goes this year, or at least for the first one.
Mm-hmm.
I could absolutely see it being a close one.
Yeah, hopefully it's close, whatever the outcome is. I really hate to have this good feeling after the first couple games, especially when you look at the table and see that we're the best record. Well, not best record, but we have the best goal differential among teams with 6 points. So it puts us technically in first.
That's a place we haven't been in a while.
I don't care how early it is. It feels good.
Yeah, I was going to say, it doesn't matter what part of the year it is. Just because it's only after the first couple games. Shush. Mm-hmm. Take the win where you can get it. That's something that last season taught us. You take the wins, no matter how big or small they are.
The game is at 5:00 on Saturday down there at the RP Funding Center. Now, Brandon, your predictions.
So, given the fact that they're both coming off a win,
mm-hmm.
And I don't believe, Florida doesn't play until then. I don't think either team's going to be going in super cocky. Florida beat Baltimore, but they've done that before. We beat Harrisburg. We've done that plenty of times. I think the biggest factor here is that it's Florida's home opener. They are going to be, for lack of a better term, they are going to be on their best behavior and trying to put on the show for the fans and also trying to make a statement at home for their first game at home. So this is going to be tough. It's going to be a really tough one for Utica, I think. I want to see them win. But given the fact that it's going to be, all the other factors we've already talked about. So given the fact that it's at home, it's their first game, all the factors that I've already spoke about, I'm looking at an L for Utica. I hate to say it, but I'm being realistic here. I'm going to say that it's going to be close. I'm going to say it's going to be like a Utica-Baltimore game. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to go with 6-5 Florida.
Okay.
I was going to go with 8-6, but I think it's going to be a little bit more defensive, just like we saw the first Harrisburg game.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to, I think 6-5 is going to be it, but it's going to be in Florida's favor. I would love to see it in Utica's favor.
Flavor? What is Utica's flavor?
Utica Club. Duh. Riggy's.
Uncle Charlie.
It's Riggy's flavored.
It's Riggy's. Riggy's and half moms.
But yes, I'm going to say Florida 6-5. Love to see it go the other way, but just being realistic.
Yeah, I'm right there. I'm right there with you. Utica's. I mean, it's Harrisburg. We looked good, but we haven't lost to them since 2019, when everything was going wrong, or 2020 when everything was going wrong to end that season.
Yeah.
And as much as it would be great to go on their turf and win, especially on that new turf that they got just in time for the playoffs last year.
Oh, yeah. I forgot about that.
Mm-hmm.
Forgot they got new turf.
I think it's close. I don't think it's a 1-goal game. I think it's 2. I just have a feeling we're going to have 6 attacker out there trying to tie it and give up an empty netter. Something that Utica struggled with a lot last year.
But we haven't so far this year.
Well, no, because we were down in the first game, and that was the only game we were down.
But we brought out 6th attacker that game, and we did not get scored on.
Didn't we?
I didn't think we did. Maybe I could be wrong.
I thought we gave up an empty netter, and then...
Maybe it was 1. But it was way less than what we had done in the past.
And scored one, is it? No, everything's even strength on here, so... Huh.
Yeah, I was going to say, I was pretty sure that we hadn't given one up.
Well, that's nice.
So that's why... Wow, I come up with an actual fact that's, that's good to know and interesting, and you're just like, well, that's nice.
No, that was more like, we haven't given up a goal, an empty netter yet. That's nice. We'll see how things go, but I'm thinking 6-4. Look, we can keep up with them offensively, absolutely, but it's going to be about stopping them from scoring more than anything. And as good as Andrews played, I don't know if our young defense is there yet. Logan sat out Sunday. We saw him walking around the arena, had a clear limp.
Yeah.
So no clue if he'll be healthy for Saturday. We saw Bo back on defense on Sunday, which is kind of where I expected him to play this season anyways.
Agreed.
Look, if we come out of there with a win, it's icing on the cake right before the holidays. I'd just as soon get out of there healthy and then get ready to defend our home turf.
A win would be a great Christmas present.
Yeah.
Whether it's at home or away. Even if we can come away with 1 from this series, it would be more than what we had all season last year. Well, no, it would tie what we had last season. But the one last season felt like a pity because they already were in the playoffs. It was a game that didn't matter to them. Like, they didn't even play their A squad.
Mm-hmm.
So it felt good, but at the same time, it didn't. at the same time, it was like we didn't really beat Florida, in my humble opinion. So
No, Florida had their A squad. You're thinking of Chihuahua that came up.
I'm thinking of Chihuahua. You are absolutely correct. Yep, you are right. You are right.
It's the last game before the holidays. We got 10 days off after it. And if we lose, we're 2-2. We still got 6 points. If we could lose in overtime, great. Let's get a point out of it.
I'd take OT.
Take a point from them. But if we can get 3 points out of these next 2 games, that keeps us right where we want to be. Really by like January 8th, after we finish off against the Strikers.
Mm-hmm.
If we go 500 over this next stretch of 6 games, that'll give us 15 points on the year, which is half of what it took to get to the playoffs last year.
Mm-hmm.
Only took 31 to crack it. And we get in with, if we're there at 15, we're in good shape heading into the heart of the season.
Still a lot better shape than we were in that part of the season last year.
Yes.
And again, yeah, granted, 2 of them are against Harrisburg thus far.
But we got 4 more.
A win's a win right now. You know, I take wins wherever we can get them.
Yeah, we can't score 18 of 28 points against Harrisburg and expect to make the playoffs.
No.
Now, can we score 18 points against Harrisburg? Sure, I'll take that. Let's pad our...
In one game.
Sure.
I would love that. That'd be great. Let's do that.
Look, their turf is going to cause troubles for everyone that goes there to play. With it being that hard packed dirt right underneath it, we saw some issues on Saturday with how it affected the ball. Can't take any team for granted here.
No, you cannot.
But look, I'd love Utica to come out with a win. You'd love Utica to come out with a win, but we're both taking head over heart on this. All right. I think... Oh, that's the one thing I wanted to mention before we sign off here.
What's that?
We saw an unsigned player in 72 on Sunday. He has since been signed by a team in the MASL.
Oh. Yes.
Yes. Pat Thompson has been signed by Baltimore. You wish him the best, except for when they play Utica.
Yeah, that was hard. That was hard to hear. Because we were looking forward to him being back this season, and it was definitely unfortunate to hear that that's where he was going. But hey, we wish him the best of luck, like he said, except when he's playing against Utica. And I already told him. I said, when you're here before the game and after the game, we're gonna be good. We'll be friends. And during the game, I'm going to heckle the heck out of you. And he said, I'm good with that.
Yeah,
that's what I would expect.
That goes for any player.
Yeah, it does. I mean, the same thing for like Hoxie when he was here over the weekend. We were. I never got a chance to talk to him, but I was going to be more than cordial. He's a person when you're not in the game. Once you're in the game, you're a player on the other team, and I hate you.
Yeah, probably owe DePrima a beer if he ever pops in 72 after a game. Can't start a prima donna chant and not be like, yeah, that was a little.
That was you could say it was the heat of the moment.
Of the moment. I got a little hot-headed.
I mean, it is upstate New York. You got to cool off.
I'm sitting here watching Kate just die from the puns over on the couch. It's okay.
Roll the eyes any harder and they're just going to fall out.
Mm-hmm. I guess it's her punishment for not going to bed sooner. Get it? Punishment.
Twitch.
No, that's what the league broadcasts on. We don't use that.
Don't get me started.
You started me down this road.
On them.
I was being good.
Just don't get me started on that.
It is what it is. But we'll be back next week to talk about the game in Florida against those Tropics, the Jackie Moon inspired team.
As long as they're not the Flopics.
Yeah. We'll see if any of the calls from this past game end up on the under review with Mr. Sigich and Phil LaFranco on Friday.
Give it to me. Let me
So if
see
you're
it.
listening to this on Thursday, make sure you check it out on YouTube tomorrow. If you're listening to it at any time after Friday, hey, go look it up on Friday. If you're listening to it any time after that, just go look it up on YouTube and give it a watch. We have a lot of criticism
at the same time.
Yeah, well, we have a lot of criticisms about the officiating in this league, but the transparency is wonderful to see.
Yes.
Now, if they could just define what a handball is, I might be happy.
I'm not going to start debating rules with you, sir.
Yeah, I know.
I won't go down that rabbit hole.
Look, we'll just leave it at, by the way that the book is written, that set piece goal that went off of the Utica shoulder should have technically been waved off for a handball. But it wasn't because of a natural position, which is not mentioned in the rule book. Fun stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So in my mind, we won 9-4.
We didn't.
But we didn't.
Because I was close to greatness. I said 10-5 and we got 9-5. We just needed that extra goal. We just needed one of those balls to just roll and curve a different direction, and we would have been totally fine. I would have gotten my 10-5. I would have actually gotten a prediction right.
Hopefully that Wednesday game doesn't see the same amount of snow that we did, because I think that kept a few hundred people out of the odd.
Yes, I do believe so, because it was a little bit of a rough ride.
Okay. Yeah, we joked about it because driving up really far north for 4 years at college, that didn't bother me at all. But when I went to work on Monday, the restaurant I work at said they did like half the business we normally do on a Sunday.
Makes sense. Not surprising.
Hey, we'll see everyone on Wednesday, the 28th. We'll be back next week with an episode to recap what happens in Florida and maybe talk a little bit about what Utica needs to do to win at home against Florida on the 28th. Until then, thank you for listening. I am Matt.
I am Brandon.
Have a wonderful day, night, whatever.
Hey everyone, thanks for listening to the Keeper's Corner podcast. Be sure to subscribe wherever you listen to us so you never miss an episode. If that podcast app also has reviews, be sure to leave us 5 stars to let us know how we're doing and reach a larger audience. It really helps us out. You can find us on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at Keeper Corners Pod. And you can always find us there talking UCFC soccer. Thanks again for the support. It's truly appreciated. One last thing. Go Utica.